Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are discussing a topic that many schools and communities are thinking about. Should schools install surveillance cameras in classrooms and hallways? It's a question with strong opinions on both sides. Are these cameras a necessary tool for keeping our students and staff safe? Or do they create serious problems for personal privacy and the school environment? Here to discuss this are two guests with different views. First, we have Mr. David Chen, a concerned parent and a member of the school safety committee who supports the idea of installing cameras. And second, Ms. Sarah Jenkins, a high school teacher and a strong supporter of student privacy, who has concerns about using cameras in schools. They will each begin with an opening statement, followed by a discussion where they can respond to each other's points. Finally, they will each give a closing statement. Mr. Chen, would you please begin with your opening statement?
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Good afternoon. I am here today because I strongly believe that installing surveillance cameras in our school hallways and classrooms is a necessary step for protecting our children and school staff. Our main goal as parents and as a community should always be to ensure our schools are safe places for learning. Cameras can help us achieve this goal in several important ways. First, cameras act as a deterrent. When students know their actions are being recorded, they are less likely to engage in negative behaviors like bullying, fighting, or damaging school property. This isn't about not trusting our students. It's about creating an environment where the rules are clear and respected. Knowing there's a record can discourage impulsive or harmful actions. Think about it. Fewer fights in the hallways, less graffiti on the walls, maybe even less cheating in some situations. This makes the school safer and allows teachers to focus more on teaching. Second, if an incident does happen, maybe a theft, an accident, or a serious argument, camera footage provides clear, objective evidence. This helps school administrators understand exactly what occurred, who was involved, and make fair decisions about discipline. Without cameras, investigations often rely on what different people say they saw, which can be confusing or inaccurate. Cameras give us facts. Imagine a situation where a student is wrongly accused of something. Camera footage could prove their innocence. Third, the presence of cameras can provide peace of mind for everyone. Parents can feel more secure knowing there's an extra layer of safety watching over their children. Teachers might feel safer, especially if they work late or are alone in parts of the building. Even students, especially those who might feel vulnerable to bullying, could feel safer knowing that negative actions are likely to be seen and addressed. We already accept cameras in many public places for safety, on streets, in shopping centers, in banks. Why should schools be different? Aren't our children's safety and well-being the most important thing? I believe cameras are a practical tool to help ensure that safety. Protecting our students must be our #1 priority, and cameras can significantly help us do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Now we will hear the opening statement from Ms. Sarah Jenkins. Ms. Jenkins, please share your perspective.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Good afternoon. While I understand and share the concern for school safety, I believe that installing surveillance cameras throughout our schools, especially in classrooms, raises serious problems. These problems involve student and teacher privacy, the overall trust within our school community, the high cost, and the potential for misuse. First and foremost, there is the issue of privacy. Classrooms should be safe spaces for exploration, discussion, and sometimes making mistakes. Hallways are social spaces where students interact and develop. Constant surveillance changes that. Knowing you are always being watched can make both students and teachers feel uncomfortable, less spontaneous, and less willing to take risks in learning or expressing opinions. Imagine trying to teach or learn complex topics, or discuss sensitive issues, knowing a camera is recording every word and expression. It can have a chilling effect on open communication. Second, widespread camera use sends a message of distrust. It suggests that we expect students and staff to misbehave, and that we need constant monitoring to control them. This can damage the positive relationships and sense of community that are so important for a healthy school environment. Schools should be built on mutual respect and trust, not suspicion. Third, the cost is significant. Buying the cameras, installing them, maintaining the system, storing the large amounts of video data, and potentially hiring staff to monitor the footage. This all adds up to a very large expense. Is this truly the best use of limited school funds? That money could potentially hire more counselors, provide better teacher training, buy updated textbooks, or fund programs that address the root causes of behavioral issues. Finally, there's the potential for misuse. Who gets to watch the footage? How long is it stored? How secure is the system from hacking or unauthorized access? There's a risk that footage could be taken out of context, used unfairly against a student or teacher, or even leaked, causing great harm. We need clear, strong policies, but even then, mistakes or abuses can happen. Instead of relying on technology that watches everyone, I believe we should focus on building a stronger school community through positive relationships, better support systems, and teaching students responsibility. Trust and education are more powerful than surveillance.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins, for outlining those concerns. We've heard strong opening arguments from both sides. Now let's move into our discussion. Mr. Chen, Ms. Jenkins raised important points about privacy and trust. How would you respond to the concern that cameras make students and teachers feel constantly watched and damage the school atmosphere?
I understand the concern about privacy, Ms. Jenkins, but I believe we need to balance it with the need for safety. In today's world, unfortunately, schools face real threats, from bullying and vandalism to more serious incidents. Isn't a student's right to feel safe at school more important than a minor feeling of being watched in public areas like hallways? Regarding classrooms, perhaps cameras there need stricter rules. Maybe only recording audio or being activated in emergencies. But in hallways, entrances, and cafeterias, the expectation of privacy is already lower. We can create very strict policies about who can view the footage and under what circumstances, only for investigating specific incidents, for example. The goal isn't to spy on anyone. It's to have a tool available when something goes wrong. And knowing that tool exists can prevent problems before they start. It's not about distrust, it's about protection. Just like having fire alarms doesn't mean we distrust people not to start fires. It means we are prepared.
Ms. Jenkins, your response to Mr. Chen's points on balancing safety and privacy, and his comparison to fire alarms?
Mr. Chen, I agree that safety is extremely important. No teacher or parent wants anything bad to happen at school. However, I question if cameras are truly the most effective way to achieve that safety, especially when weighed against the negative impacts. The fire alarm comparison isn't quite right. A fire alarm alerts everyone to immediate danger. A camera constantly records everyday activity. This constant recording changes the feeling of a place. It can make students feel like they are in a prison, not a school. You mentioned rules about accessing footage. But who makes these rules? And can we guarantee they will always be followed perfectly? Furthermore, are there not other ways to improve safety? What about investing more in school counselors and mental health professionals to help students who are struggling? What about smaller class sizes so teachers can build better relationships with students and notice problems earlier? Or implementing programs that teach conflict resolution and empathy? These approaches build trust and address the root causes of problems like bullying, rather than just recording the results.
So you're suggesting alternative safety measures might be more beneficial than cameras?
Yes, precisely. Measures that build community and support students, rather than just monitor them.
Mr. Chen, Ms. Jenkins proposes alternatives like more counselors or training. Why do you believe cameras are still necessary, perhaps in addition to those measures?
Those are all valuable things, Ms. Jenkins, and I support investing in counselors and positive programs too. They are very important, but they are not always enough. Counselors can help students, but they cannot prevent every fight or theft. They cannot be everywhere at once. Cameras provide objective evidence after an event that counselors cannot. They work 24/7. Imagine a serious bullying case where one student is constantly tormenting another quietly in the hallways. A camera might capture that pattern, providing proof that is hard to get otherwise. Or think about unauthorized people entering the school. Cameras at entrances are crucial for security. So I see cameras not as a replacement for counselors and good relationships, but as an additional practical tool that helps where people cannot. It's about having multiple layers of safety.
Let's talk about effectiveness and cost, which Ms. Jenkins raised earlier. Ms. Jenkins, you questioned if cameras really deter bad behavior or just move it elsewhere. Could you expand on that? And please remind us of your concerns about cost.
Certainly. Regarding deterrence, some studies suggest cameras don't significantly reduce issues like bullying or fighting in schools. Instead, the problems might just move to bathrooms or off-campus areas where there are no cameras. So, are we solving the problem or just hiding it? It might create a false sense of security. And yes, the cost remains a major concern for me as an educator. When schools face tight budgets, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a surveillance system means that money isn't available for other critical needs. We often struggle to afford enough books, basic supplies, or field trips. We need more support staff, like librarians or aides. Investing heavily in cameras seems like prioritizing technology over people and proven educational resources. Is that the right choice for our students' overall development?
Mr. Chen, how do you respond to the points about cameras potentially just shifting behavior and the significant cost compared to other needs?
About behavior shifting. While it's possible some issues might move, cameras still cover the main public areas where many incidents occur: hallways, cafeterias, entrances, gyms. Reducing problems in these high-traffic areas is a significant improvement in itself. It makes the main parts of the school safer, and even if deterrence isn't perfect, the value of having evidence for incidents that do happen in monitored areas is huge. It helps ensure fairness and accountability. Think about a he said, she said situation after a fight. Footage can show who started it, preventing unfair punishment. Regarding cost, I see it as an investment in safety infrastructure, much like investing in strong buildings or fire safety systems. Can we really put a price tag on a child's safety? If cameras prevent even one serious injury or resolve one major incident correctly, many would argue they are worth the cost. Yes, books and counselors are vital, but a safe environment is necessary for learning to even happen. We need to find ways to fund both. Perhaps through specific safety grants or community fundraising for the camera system. It's about priorities, and for many parents, visible security measures like cameras are a high priority.
One final point in this section, the overall school environment. Ms. Jenkins, you mentioned cameras could make schools feel like prisons. Mr. Chen, you see them as a tool for peace of mind. How do you think cameras ultimately change the feeling or culture of a school?
I believe they fundamentally change it for the worse. Schools should feel welcoming, encouraging, and supportive. Constant surveillance creates an atmosphere of suspicion and control. It tells students implicitly that they are not trusted. How does that prepare them to be responsible citizens in a democracy built on trust and freedom? Learning involves taking risks, asking questions, sometimes challenging ideas. Will students feel as free to do that if they worry their words or actions are being recorded and potentially judged later? It can make the school feel less like a community and more like an institution focused on monitoring, which I don't think is healthy for adolescent development.
Mr. Chen, your view on the impact on school culture?
I see the impact differently. I believe a safe environment leads to a better time school culture. When students feel safe from bullying or violence, they can relax, focus on learning, and participate more freely. Knowing that rules are enforced fairly because there is evidence helps build respect for the school system. Students today are already used to cameras in many parts of their lives. It's becoming normal in society. Having them in school hallways isn't such a radical change for them. It prepares them for the reality of the modern world, where security measures are common. I think a culture of safety allows a positive learning culture to grow, rather than hindering it.
Thank you both for that detailed discussion. We will now move to closing statements. Each speaker will have a chance to summarize their position. Ms. Jenkins, please begin with your closing statement.
Thank you. In summary, while the goal of school safety is one we all share, I remain convinced that installing widespread surveillance cameras is not the right solution. The potential harms to student and teacher privacy are significant. Classrooms and schools should be places of trust and open exploration, not constant monitoring. Surveillance sends a message of distrust that can damage the school community spirit we work so hard to build. The high cost of these systems takes away precious funds from resources we know make a difference. Skilled teachers, counselors, librarians, books, and programs that support student well-being directly. There are also real risks of data misuse or breaches, creating new problems. Furthermore, the evidence that cameras effectively deter bad behavior is not clear, and they may simply push problems into unmonitored areas. Cameras record actions, but they don't address the reasons behind those actions. They don't solve the underlying issues that lead to conflict or distress. We need to invest in people, relationships, and positive school culture. Let's focus our resources on building trust, providing support, and teaching responsibility. These are the approaches that create truly safe and supportive learning environments for the long term. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Mr. Chen, your closing statement, please.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Today I've argued that surveillance cameras are a valuable and necessary tool for improving safety and security in our schools. Our primary responsibility must be the physical and emotional well-being of our students and staff. Cameras contribute directly to this. They act as a deterrent, discouraging negative behaviors like bullying, vandalism, and fighting, simply by being present. When incidents unfortunately do occur, cameras provide objective, reliable evidence. This helps administrators investigate fairly, ensure accountability, and protect the innocent. This evidence is crucial for resolving disputes and ensuring justice within the school. Knowing cameras are watching over common areas provides peace of mind to parents, teachers, and many students, contributing to a feeling of security. Concerns about privacy are understandable, but they can be managed effectively with clear, strict policies on camera placement, data access, and storage. The need for safety in shared spaces like hallways and entrances often outweighs minimal privacy expectations. While the cost is an investment, it's an investment in the fundamental need for a safe learning environment. It's a practical modern tool that complements other safety efforts like counseling and good teaching. In today's world, we must use the reasonable tools available to protect our children. Cameras are one such tool. Let's prioritize making our schools as safe as they possibly can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen, and thank you again, Ms. Jenkins, for sharing your perspectives and engaging in this important discussion. You've both highlighted the core challenge: finding the right balance between ensuring our schools are safe environments and protecting the privacy and trust essential for a positive learning community. There are clearly valid points on both sides, involving safety benefits, privacy rights, cost considerations, and the overall atmosphere of our schools. This is a complex issue with no easy answers, and it's a conversation that schools and communities need to continue having. Thank you to our audience.